Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a special video that delves deep into the life and philosophy of one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, Epictetus. Born into slavery, Epictetus faced immense challenges throughout his life, yet his teachings on personal resilience, self-control, and virtue still resonate deeply today. In this video, we'll explore his life story, break down his core philosophy, and highlight some of his most profound and impactful quotes. So sit back, relax, and let's discover the timeless wisdom of Epictetus together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all our new content. Epictetus stands as one of the most influential philosophers in the history of Western thought, and his teachings continue to impact millions of people around the world. What is even more fascinating about Epictetus is that he was born into slavery, which is quite an unusual start for someone who would go on to influence the philosophical world so profoundly. His story is a remarkable testament to the power of philosophy in overcoming adversity. Epictetus was born around 55 AD in Hierapolis, a city in modern-day Turkey. He was born into a life of hardship and struggle. His family's circumstances, especially the harsh reality of slavery, were not ideal for someone who would one day become a philosopher. But it is precisely because of this early exposure to suffering that Epictetus was able to develop such profound insights about the human condition. Epictetus was not only born into slavery, but he was also physically disabled by his master, Epictetus, a wealthy freedman who served Emperor Nero. Despite this cruelty, Epictetus found solace in the teachings of Stoicism, which led him to his eventual freedom, not in terms of physical status, but in terms of mental liberation. Through Stoicism, he learned that the mind has the power to transcend external circumstances, and it is this realization that transformed his life. One of the central teachings of Epictetus is the dichotomy of control, which states that there are things we can control and things we cannot control. The things we can control include our actions, our desires, and our thoughts, while things we cannot control include the actions of others, the events of the world, and the natural course of life. This distinction is crucial in understanding how Stoicism can help people lead a peaceful life. Epictetus believed that our suffering arises not from external events, but from our inability to accept the things we cannot change. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Epictetus. This dichotomy is foundational in Stoic thought. It teaches us that the only true source of control and freedom lies within ourselves. While we cannot control external circumstances, we always have the power to choose how we respond to them. Epictetus's early years were filled with hardship. Yet it was during this time of adversity that his philosophical foundations were built. Born into slavery, Epictetus was owned by a man named Epictetus, a wealthy freedman in the court of Emperor Nero. Epictetus, like many masters at the time, was cruel and oppressive. It is said that Epictetus broke Epictetus's leg, which left him physically disabled for the rest of his life. Yet, instead of allowing his circumstances to define him, Epictetus sought knowledge and wisdom. He became a student of Musonius Rufus, one of the leading Stoic philosophers of the time. Under Musonius' guidance, Epictetus learned the tenets of Stoicism and began to form his own ideas about life, human nature, and how to live a virtuous life. Epictetus, despite his own painful experiences, taught that suffering is an inevitable part of life, but how we respond to it is what matters. He argued that it is within our power to determine our reaction to the challenges we face. His teachings focused on the idea that freedom is not determined by physical circumstances, but by our ability to control our thoughts and actions. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. This quote encapsulates Epictetus's view on life. Even in the face of great personal suffering, it was the way Epictetus responded to his circumstances that allowed him to maintain his mental freedom. Epictetus was a Stoic philosopher, and his teachings were based on the central principles of Stoicism. Stoicism teaches that virtue, living a life of wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation, is the highest good and the only true source of happiness. External factors such as wealth, fame, and status are seen as neither good nor bad. They are simply indifferent. The key to happiness is not in external circumstances, but in how we respond to them. For Epictetus, the only thing that is truly valuable is virtue. He believed that our actions should be guided by reason, and our goal should be to live in harmony with nature. True happiness, according to Epictetus, comes from developing our moral character, not from material wealth or worldly success. Control over emotions. Epictetus taught that we should strive to control our emotions and desires. Our natural impulses may lead us to seek wealth, pleasure, or power, but these things are not within our control. What we can control, however, is how we respond to these desires. By mastering our emotions, we can find tranquility and peace. Living in accordance with nature. Epictetus often spoke about the importance of living in accordance with nature. To live virtuously, we must align our desires with the natural world and the reason that governs it. The Stoic idea is that everything happens for a reason, and our role is to accept this and respond with wisdom and virtue. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. This quote speaks to the Stoic idea of contentment. It is not about accumulating things, but about learning to be content with what we have and recognizing that our desires often lead us astray. One of the key elements of Epictetus's philosophy was the importance of reason and self-discipline. For Epictetus, reason was the guiding force in life. Humans are endowed with the ability to reason, and it is through the use of reason that we can make good decisions and live virtuously. Without reason, we are slaves to our emotions and desires. Epictetus believed that we are responsible for training our minds to think in a rational way. This requires discipline and self-control. Our impulses may lead us to seek pleasure or avoid discomfort, but true wisdom comes from choosing actions that are in line with virtue, regardless of how they make us feel in the moment. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. This quote highlights the importance of self-discipline. According to Epictetus, true freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from mastering oneself. When we are able to control our emotions, desires, and actions, we are truly free Epictetus was not just a philosopher, he was also a teacher, and his teachings influenced many great thinkers who came after him. His student Arrian is credited with compiling Epictetus's teachings into two key works, the Discourses and the Enchiridion. These writings preserved Epictetus's philosophy and ensured that his ideas would continue to shape philosophical thought. For centuries to come, Epictetus's influence extended far beyond his own time. His teachings were a major influence on the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, whose meditations reflect many of the Stoic ideas that Epictetus championed. Another philosopher influenced by Epictetus was Seneca, a Roman statesman and Stoic philosopher, who incorporated Epictetus's teachings into his own writings on ethics and self-control. Epictetus's ideas have had a lasting impact on Western philosophy, and his teachings continue to resonate with modern thinkers and practitioners of self-help and psychology. His philosophy, especially his emphasis on control, self-discipline, and virtue, remains as relevant today as it was in ancient Rome. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Interpretation. This quote emphasizes the Stoic belief that it is not external events that cause us distress, but our reactions to them. By controlling our responses, we can find peace even in the face of adversity. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Interpretation. Epictetus reminds us that happiness does not come from acquiring more, but from cultivating contentment with less. The less we desire, the less we are enslaved by the pursuit of material wealth. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Skillful pilots gain their reputation from storms and tempests. Interpretation. Challenges are opportunities for growth. The more difficult the obstacle, the greater the reward in overcoming it. It is through adversity that we learn to develop strength and resilience. Mental resilience. In today's fast-paced, stress-filled world, Stoicism offers a powerful tool for managing anxiety and cultivating mental resilience. By focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot, we can develop inner peace and tranquility. Applying Stoicism. Stoic principles can be applied in our daily lives by focusing on self-discipline, maintaining perspective, and practicing gratitude for the things we have rather than constantly seeking more. The Discourses, a collection of Epictetus' teachings compiled by his student Arrian. The Discourses is a series of conversations and lectures that delve into various aspects of Stoic philosophy. The Enchiridion, a concise manual of Stoic ethics. The Enchiridion serves as a guide for living a virtuous life, offering practical advice on how to apply Stoic principles in everyday situations. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Epictetus in Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, CBT. The principles of Stoicism have been highly influential in the development of CBT, which helps people identify and challenge irrational thoughts and behaviors. Epictetus's emphasis on changing our thinking patterns to overcome challenges is directly reflected in modern psychological practices, self-improvement. By focusing on cultivating virtue, managing desires, and accepting what we cannot control, Epictetus provides a powerful framework for self-improvement. Epictetus's life was one of adversity, but he was able to transform his suffering into wisdom. His teachings continue to inspire people today, offering a timeless guide for living a life of virtue, wisdom, and inner peace. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Epictetus, Epictetuses. Philosophy reminds us that while we cannot control the external world, we can always control how we respond to it. By mastering our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we can achieve true freedom and happiness. Epictetus, like other Stoics, believed that emotions often arise from our judgments and attachments to things we cannot control. While the Stoics did not advocate for the suppression of emotions, they taught that we should aim to manage and understand them rather than letting them rule our lives. For Epictetus, emotions like anger, fear, and jealousy were not inherent parts of human nature. Rather, they were the result of misguided judgments and false beliefs about what truly matters in life. For instance, anger often arises when we believe that we have been wronged or when others do not meet our expectations. Fear, on the other hand, emerges when we imagine losing something important to us. We are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens. Epictetus. This quote reflects the idea that it is not external events that disturb us, but our thoughts and interpretations of those events. When we recognize that our emotional responses are often based on distorted beliefs or expectations, we can begin to manage our emotions more effectively. Epictetus emphasized that self-mastery is the key to emotional freedom. He argued that we must train our minds to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, desires, and actions, while accepting what is outside our control. Only by doing so can we achieve emotional resilience and avoid being enslaved by our feelings. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Epictetus. This quote reminds us that facing and overcoming challenges is a sign of strength. The ability to manage our emotions during difficult situations is a vital part of personal growth and self-mastery. Epictetus's philosophy is not just a theoretical system, but a practical guide to living a better life. His teachings provide a framework for dealing with life's challenges, from personal setbacks to societal pressures. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is the idea that we should live in accordance with nature. For Epictetus, this meant aligning our desires and actions with reason and virtue, which he believed were the natural basis of human life. Living in accordance with nature is to live in harmony with the universe, understanding that everything that happens is part of a greater plan. Epictetus, this teaching encourages us to accept the natural course of life, including its inevitable difficulties and hardships. Instead of resisting the challenges that come our way, Stoicism teaches us to face them with calm acceptance, trusting that they are part of the order of the universe. Finding purpose in life's struggles, another important aspect of Epictetus's teachings, is the notion that life's struggles are not meaningless. On the contrary, adversity is often where we find our greatest opportunities for growth. For Epictetus, the key to a fulfilling life is not avoiding pain and suffering, but embracing these experiences as chances to develop strength, character, and wisdom. Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them. Epictetus, this principle reminds us that how we perceive our challenges will determine how we respond to them. If we view difficulties as opportunities for growth, we can turn adversity into a powerful tool for self-improvement. Epictetus's philosophy centers on the idea that true freedom is not found in external circumstances, but in our inner lives. While many people equate freedom with physical liberty, wealth, or power, Epictetus argued that freedom is a state of mind that comes from mastering our desires, judgments, and reactions. The freedom of choice, Epictetus teaches that while we cannot control external events, we always have the freedom to choose how we respond to those events. This freedom lies in our ability to choose our thoughts, our attitudes, and our actions. It is this internal freedom that enables us to find peace. Regardless of our circumstances, no man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. This quote emphasizes that freedom is not about being free from external constraints, but about being free from the tyranny of our own passions and desires. When we master ourselves, we become truly free. The role of Stoic practices. In achieving freedom, Stoic practices, such as mindfulness and self-reflection, help us become more aware of our thoughts and reactions. By practicing these techniques, we can learn to observe our emotions without being controlled by them. This awareness gives us the power to choose our responses, thereby increasing our inner freedom. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus, this quote, encourages us to embrace humility and self-awareness, which are essential in the journey to becoming a more free and virtuous individual. The practice of self-reflection helps us identify areas where we can grow and improve. Epictetus's teachings have had a lasting influence on Western philosophy, as well as on modern self-help and psychological practices. His emphasis on self-control, virtue, and resilience continues to resonate with people who seek practical ways to improve their lives. Epictetus and modern psychology. One of the most significant contributions of Stoicism to modern psychology is its influence on cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. CBT is based on the idea that our thoughts shape our emotions and behaviors, a concept that directly aligns with Epictetus's teachings on the power of rational thinking. By changing our thoughts, we can change our emotional responses and ultimately our behavior. Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them. Epictetus. This quote serves as a core principle of CBT, as it highlights the importance of reframing our thoughts in order to manage emotions and improve our mental health. In addition to his influence on psychology, Epictetus's teachings have also found a place in popular culture. His ideas have been cited by countless self-help authors, motivational speakers, and even entrepreneurs who believe that mental resilience and self-control are key to achieving success in life. Epictetus's teachings offer timeless wisdom for people of all walks of life, whether they are facing personal challenges, striving for self-improvement, or seeking greater meaning and fulfillment. Epictetus may have been born a slave, but he was not a slave to his circumstances. Through philosophy, he achieved a form of freedom that transcended the external world. His teachings on virtue, self-control, and resilience continue to inspire and guide people around the world today. His philosophy offers a roadmap for living a good life, regardless of our external conditions. By practicing the principles of Stoicism, we can cultivate inner peace, wisdom, and strength, just as Epictetus did. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Epictetus, Epictetus. Life reminds us that while we cannot control the events of the world, we can control how we respond to them. By focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot, we can live a life of true freedom and peace. Thank you so much for joining me in exploring the life and philosophy of Epictetus. His Stoic wisdom continues to inspire and challenge us to be better versions of ourselves every day. I hope you found his teachings as impactful as I did. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, as Epictetus wisely said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Let's keep growing and learning together. Until next time, take care and stay stoic.